I think that if you are further out west, things will be a little bit drier for you heading into the weekend. So let's do a quick recap because I realize I may have been on mute for a little while, which is why y'all have been quiet. All in all, a warming trend as we head through the next couple of days. Temperatures will gradually be climbing into the upper 80s Friday afternoon into Saturday, flirting with 90 degrees on Sunday. And then those numbers fall down into the mid 80s as we head closer to Tuesday and Wednesday as we watch at least a low end chance for a shower. And anybody who's enjoying the mid 80s, who's looking forward to the mid 80s, I do think that that's where we're going to be headed for the bulk of the rest of September. A lot of the guidance is going to keep us pretty close to seasonal, which is going to be low to mid 80s across most of the region. We're also keeping an eye on the tropics. We don't have a name system out there right now, but we've been tracking the remnants of what was once Tropical Storm Gordon out in the open Atlantic. And that area of low pressure has about a 50% chance of redeveloping over the course of the next week. That's going to be the one that's furthest out to the east. And then closer to home, we are watching the Caribbean because a lot of the guidance has been dancing with this idea of an area of low pressure developing like in 5-6 days in the Caribbean. And a lot of the models are trying to make it into something. So something that we'll have to watch. Right now, the National Hurricane Center only giving it a 20% chance of development. But this is something that should probably be on your radar, especially if you have plans. Once again, this is several days out from even developing. You know, we're just giving you a heads up that this area looks ripe and the guidance is bringing a cluster, a disturbance there, a tropical wave. And with the combination of the intensity of the tropical wave and the environments that are going to be in the Caribbean, something could develop. So this is something that we'll be on top of course, over the course of the next week. I do want to take you all outside because, you know, there's sometimes no better place than to just take a look outside, especially whenever you have such a beautiful city to take a look at. It is gorgeous out there. As nice as the weather is this evening, the news, as I am reading Blair Miller's notes, seems to be interesting. So it seems to be interesting.
Seems to be interesting.
Blair, what's your number?
What's my number?
25?
Is 25.
Okay.
So, Patrick, I'm not sure I want to throw the cell phone number out there for everybody, but
I mean, listen.
hey, you know what? Whatever it takes.
It's a lot of people here on this global audience, and maybe someone, you know, they have a tip for you.
Well, you know, I'm all ears. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
No
Appreciate it. Hope everybody's doing well on this fine Wednesday, and hope you're having a great week because we've had plenty going on this week. I know it's been a busy week. I was out at the Jimmy Carter 100th celebration last night at the Fox Theater, and that was quite an event with celebrating the beginning of the celebration for his birthday, which is actually on October 1st. And so you had a lot of dignitaries there, a lot of celebrities, and you know the Fox Theater, they put on some pretty impressive events. And this certainly living up to that. But the news tonight, and something that we are following, is happening in the political world. You know, certainly so much focus on Georgia in this election. That's not going to go away, and most of you know that by following the coverage that's happening. But this evening, former President Donald Trump kicking off a rally up in New York on Long Island, and this all taking place at the Nassau Coliseum. Hundreds are there, and this is his first large-scale rally since the second apparent assassination attempt on his life that happened last weekend that we've been covering. But this also coming on the same day that Vice President Kamala Harris making news, turning her focus to abortion rights and announcing a visit here to Atlanta that will take place on Friday, where she's going to focus on this issue. And she talked about why she's coming here, saying the visit comes after a troubling report claiming the deaths of 2 pregnant Georgia women could have been prevented if doctors were able to provide unrestricted abortion-related medical care. This is turning into one of the centerpieces for this election, especially with what's happening in this election, and with so much focus on that, you know, on abortion rights, that's expected to come up with when the vice president is here on Friday here in Atlanta to talk about this. And this is something that our advocasaurus looked into today and has more.
ProPublica reports that the state agency tasked with reviewing maternal deaths found that the deaths of at least 2 Georgia women were preventable. Shawana Moore says after more than a decade in women's health care, the state's 6-week abortion ban, with few exceptions, goes against everything she learned in medical school.
And it's really disheartening and heartbreaking as a healthcare professional.
ProPublica talked with the family of Candy Miller, one of the women who died. A mother of 3, they report doctors told her another pregnancy could kill her. She She ordered abortion pills online, but there were complications. She needed a procedure to clear tissue from her uterus and stave off sepsis. She was bedridden and in extreme pain before she died. Family told the coroner she was afraid to visit a doctor because of Georgia's anti-abortion laws.
So I truly believe we'll hear about more stories for many years to come because of the overturn of Roe v. Wade.
This comes after the overturn of Roe, which led way for states to pass legislation like Georgia's Life Act, one of the most restrictive laws in the nation. Here, doctors could face felony charges and a decade in prison if they perform a procedure after a heartbeat is detected.
This is a completely new landscape when it comes to providing reproductive health care, including abortion care.
Governor Brian Kemp defending Georgia's Life Act, saying it not only expanded support for expectant mothers, but also established clear exceptions, including providing necessary care in the event of a medical emergency, citing guidance from the state's Department of Public Health sent to medical providers. On Wednesday, presidential candidate Kamala Harris announced a visit to Atlanta, campaigning on the issue of abortion access.
You guys may have heard the story, many here, about the stories about the horrendous, most recent stories about what happened in Georgia. Many of these Trump abortion bans that make no exception for rape or incest, it's immoral.
Senator and vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance said in an interview on Sunday that both he and the former president do not support a federal abortion ban. They want abortion limits to be set by the states. In Atlanta, I'm Abby Casores.
That report from Abby kind of breaking down where we are and what's behind this visit that will be taking place by the Vice President when she's here on Friday, and we certainly can expect this rhetoric to only continue, especially with so much focus on Georgia, this issue front and center for what's happening here. Also want to follow up on a story that we are following this week in the aftermath of the school shooting up in Winder in Barrow County at Appalachia High School. Next week, they begin their gradual reopening of school, and we know the football team is making a return to the field this Friday night for their home game. So the Wildcats will be playing a home game there at that stadium against Loganville High, and kickoff is set for 7:30. And so they're gradually getting back into what life was somewhat like before that shooting. And a pretty interesting story that we found today and really stood out here in the newsroom came from a student there at Appalachia. Everybody's coping in their own unique way. And one student there recorded a song about his math teacher who was killed in that shooting. And he found it was his way of honoring her. And our Adam Murphy found this story, and we want to share some of that with you.
I'm Adam Murphy in Gwinnett County, where I met 16-year-old Isaac Sanguma, a student of Appalachia High School. He told me these past couple of weeks have been incredibly difficult following the school shooting, and that only his passion for music has helped him cope with what happened a couple of weeks ago. Isaac told me he has been writing and recording music now for about 7 years, and he told me he wasn't going to write a song about the deadly shooting that happened at the school where he is a student, but he changed his mind when his mom wanted to send him to therapy. He knew that his music would actually help him cope with the tragedy. He said one of the teachers killed was his algebra teacher, Christina Ermy. The song he wrote is called Forever Ermy in her honor. The song has amassed more than 2 million likes on TikTok thus far, but the message he really wants to send, he wants everyone to stop the school violence.
That report from our Adam Murphy. So we will be covering all these stories plus all the day's news coming up tonight here at 10 and 11. Hope you can join myself and Sean Gables for the 11 o'clock news. And we also are streaming our newscast on ANF Plus, and you can see where we're streaming that. So hope you can join us. Otherwise, hope you have a safe Thursday, and we'll be following with you and updating tonight on the latest news and throughout the day tomorrow. Take care.